There's something interesting because I've been around like munchkins my entire life. Like I mean, like children, right? I'm not a teacher or anything like that. I like to call them munchkins because it's cute. Um, and one thing that I've noticed is sometimes when in the school system, they don't have an interest for that environment. It doesn't matter how you're trying to foster their education, they just don't care for the environment. So they tend not to participate. But then what happens is there's something that almost like attracts their attention, and they become so fixated on that thing that they put in their 10,000 hours before they even become an adult on that thing, right? And so sometimes when we're looking at how quickly a child can catch on, or how well they like assimilate into the schooling system, no matter how specialized they are or whatever, sometimes we look at that as markers of intelligence, when sometimes, and I'm sure as teachers you know that sometimes like some children are so intelligent that they're just bored in the school system. They're just unwilling to participate at all until something draws them in, right? I knew this couple, they were like pretty average people. You know, they made a decent living, they were comfortable, whatever. They had a child who expressed like interest around like the third grade in the sciences. And this kid, like, why tell you, he was a total sponge, just sucked everything up. He became so advanced in that school system that they had to supplement his education. By the time he was in like sixth grade, he had a university tutor teaching him like 101 classes because he was just so engulfed by the material that they just decided to keep feeding it to him. And he was doing pretty average on all the other subjects, but because this was like his thing, he was given the opportunity to foster that and will probably be known as a genius because his parents had the opportunity to, right? And so, like what I was saying earlier, is that he'll get acknowledged for that. But the children who grow up whose parents weren't as fortunate to be able to pay for that type of tutelage, or that, or to even like have the time, or to even
Damn,
have
pull
the,
up podcast.
or to even have the time to notice that about their child, like they just go unnoticed. Real like those children will never be recognized for their genius, right? And I'll say this, and this will be the last thing. So often when we talk about unintelligent people, we talk about people in the hood, right? And that irks me to no end, because unfortunately those are people who've been robbed of so many resources, that like there's so much intelligence sitting there that's been untapped, unfostered, unacknowledged, that we just assume that these people are dumb, when really we've deterred them from school systems. The parents aren't around to pay attention to their interests, or cater to their learning styles, or even just like acknowledge that that genius exists and put them in positions for that to grow, right? And so I really wish people would stop doing that.
So I just want to make it clear, I'm not talking about people in the hood because I don't live in the hood. Um, I gave my experience. And again, I'm not saying that because I know my child can learn and she will. What I'm saying is I noticed a difference in the pace, how fast, you know, it takes place. I think that all children, when fostered, can learn. I'm just talking about the ability to catch on real fast. Boom, 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 boom.
I
That
don't,
type.
I don't think she was talking about you. I think she was probably paralleling to a conversation we had way a couple months ago where they were
Oh,
talking
okay.
about
Gotcha.
uh, people who don't have money shouldn't procreate. That's what you talking about, right? You know?
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
talking about your, I would never talk about
yeah,
your children.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
you about my own. Nah.
yeah. I'm
Well,
I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying I can tell in the difference in the swiftness, like the fast. Maybe I need to, even let's just say between my sister and I'm okay to say my sister was faster. I mean, right now, I don't know. But, it took me, I wanted to know different things. I was a little different than she was. Okay. And so even with that, with my own kids, I just know that my son was a lot faster. Whereas my daughter, she getting it. It's just not as fast as him. And I'm not saying she may be a genius. I'm not taking that away from her or any other kid. I'm just saying the pace, how swift, you know, just like you have kids who are a few months learning words, you know, 1 or 2 year olds learning words, and you some kids who can't even talk. That doesn't mean the kid who can't talk at 4 won't eventually get there. It just means it's just taking a little bit more time. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, looking at, we were talking about before, like the difference between like aptitude and IQ. Like when I look at both of my children, like my daughter, when she was homeschooled for a while, and then when she went to public school, she got skipped a grade, right? But my son, on the other hand, he just wasn't a school person. That wasn't his thing. However, where my daughter developed productive school skills, she knew how to do school very well. Whereas he was just natural when he was drawn, like what Inaz was saying, drawn to specific things in school that he liked. So it would lead him to, like, he loved science when he was younger, anything science. So he reading about animals. He at one point wanted to be a marine biologist, like just things like that. Anything with science, anything with him being able to work with his hands, taking stuff apart, figuring things out. That was his thing. But both of them presented very differently in school. And so I think what happens is exactly what Inaz said. School isn't meant, it sounds terrible, but it's true. The education isn't set up as a system for you to reach your fullest potential, even though that's what we say. It's not. It's set up to condition kids to grow up to become workers, right? So I got to teach everybody the same thing so we can have a foundation of understanding that everybody knows, right? But being able to foster somebody's intelligence or things like that, it falls on the parents. I that's all I can say.
Exactly. I
falls
agree.
on the parents to do that. Yeah.
Right. So as a parent, I'm not even thinking about education because I don't even put that in the form of education. I'm saying as a parent, the work that I have to put in one child was not, it's more work to put in one child than it is the other child. The other child was just grasping, like, it has nothing to do with the teachers. It has everything to do with me understanding how my kids. Now, one person brought in street smart and book smart. I will say my daughter is street smart. She probably got that down. I mean, she young, but baby, it's like you can. And the other one, he's book smart. You know, I'm like, do you got a girlfriend that I can call to make sure you straight up there, like, you know, watching out for you? But they're totally different. And I would think that goes into the learning style. I think street smart people are more hands-on people. They learn by experience. They catch on to it like, oh, won't do that again. Boom, 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 boom. Book smart people are more like, okay, I've taught this. This is how it is. You know, I can read stuff. I comprehend very well. This is this, and this. And that's the difference between, because you show her something, she gonna be like, she look at everything you do. Whereas him, he wanted to know more of, you know, well, why? He always asked the question, why? It was to the point where I don't know why. I don't know why. It was just a very different learning experience. And I'm talking about not in the classroom. It ended up being in the classroom, but from me as a parent watching my kids learn. So I can't blame it on the school system because I'm talking about me at home, how I'm teaching my kids to get ready for school. But I will agree with you. You're right. And it's unfortunate that kids who are not in fortunate situations, who, you know, education, it doesn't serve them right. If their school is failing them, it won't foster a good educational environment, especially if it's keeping them stagnant, and they're probably here. They should be here, but unfortunately those resources aren't there for them to make sure that they are where they need to be. So I get that.
That's one of the major benefits of homeschooling, because you can tailor make the education. Like, what is individual learning plans? They're supposed to be tailor made, but that's not what it turns into. I remember when I was in high school. Well, I was in 8th grade, and I heard about behavior disorder classes, and I wanted to go to the behavior disorder class because they got
You
to play
wanted to
Crash.
go there?
They got to play Crash Bandicoot. They got A's. You didn't have to do no work for the most part because it was just a waiting room until they was old enough to graduate. And everybody in there would end up getting locked up or killed for the most part. A couple of them worked in construction, but for the most part, everybody fell into the streets.
Say that.
It's the reality of what happened.
I taught that for 20 years.
Most of them was from the VF. And they had Crash Bandicoot. They got to watch movies. When I heard about that, I was like, damn, how I get in that class? They was doing everything back in the day. They had the VH, because I'm old. They had VHS tapes they used to roll out on a little cart. And they had that cart in there in the back of the room. They had the Crash Bandicoot. They was kicking it. But I didn't get put in the class.
Little podcast. Thank you for joining us. Did you want to add on to anything?
I don't think I'm smart enough for this conversation. You said
is it genetics? I was just
maybe. I mean, you said book smart. You said street smart. But then you just got dumb smart, and I think that's kind of where I fall in, at dumb smart. Like, now, I mean, I got 2 kids, and I didn't care about them enough to care about their education. I'm just playing.
Somebody's gonna clip that and make it just horrible.
Absolutely, make me go viral. I need $5.
Don't do that. I won't even let you go down like that.
Viral is $5.
I don't know, man. It's like this. The whole IQ thing and all this and that, and blah 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 blah. It's like I don't even know how to measure any of that. What I know is that when I was in college about 10 years ago, I was acing anything that had something to do with writing. It was no sweat. I could literally do it at 3:00 in the morning the night before it was due and still get an A. But when it came to that math was like, Hadouken! How are you, Ken?
They say that's the different side of the brain, right? The math is like the left side, and the language arts is the right side. And a lot of people can do one really, really great, and the other one they kind of, need a little assistance with. That's what they say.
The math is like this is what made me not care about it, right? Because once I realized that math is literally a language, right? Once you get into collegiate math, once you start putting letters and numerals into the 4th and the 5th ratios of quotients of spiritual magnesiums, like, don't nobody know what all that is. I'm in the class and I'm like telling the teacher, I'm like, look, lady, I don't know none of this stuff. So, you're going to have to slow down. And she was, you're supposed to learn this in the 4th grade. We learned this in the 4th grade in Iraq. Well, y'all didn't have nothing else better to do. Y'all had bombs and shit falling all around you. Like, you was trying to study this to stop from paying attention to the bombs. I get it. Well, lady, guess what? I had Kool-Aid and playgrounds and video games. I wasn't thinking about well, that's not true. I was really good at math all the way up into algebra. Then once I got to high school and they hit you with algebra 2 and they start adding all the different stuff in there, it's like, bro, this is another language. And once I realized that some of the smartest people in college who take language courses fail, right? People who try to learn Chinese, people who try to learn French, people who try to learn all these different languages, they fail. They drop them classes because it's kind of difficult to learn a new language. And that's how it is with math. After a certain amount of time, if you wasn't able to just pick it up and grasp it earlier on, it's probably going to be really difficult for you. So, that's why I didn't end up finishing college. But when it came to that writing, man, my philosophy professor, shout out to Mr. Robert Allen, Professor Allen. I mean, that dude was in love with my writing, man. He used to read my joints out loud in the class and then give himself credit. Right? Like, I taught him this, right? So I don't know how that works. And I don't know how that pans out into society. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the wealthiest people are good in math or good at the arts. I don't know how that works, but
No,
I'm a man and I date women, so I don't care about that really. Like my woman could be dumb as a rocks, then I'm still gonna love her, you know.